It takes just 10 seconds, but apparently that's still too long. A South Dakota school district says its high schoolers don't have time to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Anna Koyman is here, and Anna, apparently causing a lot of controversy among our vets.
You're right about that, Ainsley. 10 seconds apparently too long. This morning there's a battle brewing in Sioux Falls, South Dakota over this very question. Should high school students say the Pledge of Allegiance before class? Well, according to the school district, no. Last night, they voted down a proposal that would require the teenagers to recite the pledge every day. The reason? Board members decided there's not enough time during the day to say it.
We felt that we wanted to make it clear that at the high school level, we do not, there's not always an opportunity to have the Pledge of Allegiance spoken every day.
I think that soundbite was about 10 seconds. That explanation did not sit well with the dozens of veterans who have been pushing for public schools to include the patriotic tradition.
In front of the school board, we had a wounded veteran. It took him longer to get up, to get his crutches, and to walk out of the room than it would have taken the students to say the Pledge of Allegiance, yet they decided that they didn't have enough time in their day to do it. He gave almost all he had for our country, but our school district couldn't give 10 seconds.
Oh, wow. Well, the veterans say they will not give up their fight, Ainsley. The district could review the policy in the future.
Anna Koyman live for us this morning. Thank you, Anna.
Well, a story from South Dakota starting to get national attention. A school district there has decided there's just no time in the day for students to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, despite a desperate request from a local vets group to keep the pledge. Trace Gallagher is here with that. Trace?
You know, Megan, Francis Bellamy wrote the Pledge of Allegiance in 1892. He designed it to be read in 15 seconds, but the truth is it only takes 10, which apparently is 10 seconds too long for the Sioux Falls, South Dakota School Board, which has now voted not to require high school students to recite the pledge. It's okay at elementary schools there as well as middle schools, but in high schools we're told that it's too much of a challenge. Listen.
Just the challenge of being able to find a period within the high school day to be able to say it consistently appear to be a challenge too.
Speaking of challenges, a group of veterans who fought to defend the flag were also at that school board meeting, requesting that the board put aside those 10 seconds a day out of pure respect. Listen.
We had a wounded veteran. It took him longer to get up, to get his crutches, and to walk out of the room than it would have taken the students to say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
But despite that military plea, the board voted unanimously to not recite the pledge that you see on your screen, because where in a 7-hour day would you find the extra 10 seconds? Listen again.
We do not, there's not always an opportunity to have the Pledge of Allegiance spoken every day.
If you were timing it, that soundbite took 11 seconds. The veterans, by the way, Megan, say they are not giving up. They will continue fighting to see if they can get the pledge reinstated back at Sioux Falls High School.
Trace, thank you. Joining me tonight with reaction is Jedediah Bila. She's a Fox News contributor and former academic advisor who taught middle school and high school. Jedediah, it's not feasible to say they can't find time for it?
It's ridiculous that anyone would say that you can't find time. I find it strange that this high school the high schools they're talking about don't have homeroom periods. But even if you didn't have a homeroom, there would be some period in the day where attendance has to be taken, where activities are talked about. I had so much time. Even if I had a 10-minute homeroom session, you can't tell me you can't throw 10 seconds in there to have the Pledge of Allegiance. And what's really, really unfortunate is that a lot of high school students cannot recite it. They don't know it. In this day and age, you have these kids who don't understand the value of the Pledge of Allegiance, who don't understand the value of paying tribute to veterans, to people who have fought for this country, and who really don't understand what America stands for, because they can't even recite our Pledge of Allegiance.
And they're not forced to take a moment, just a moment to pause and consider it. Even if you don't consider it, eventually it seeps in and you stop and you say, what does that mean?
Right. Well, you know what? If you do say it, you do consider it. You do take a minute, maybe not every day, but to think about the words that you're saying. If you're talking about liberty, if you're, well, maybe you start to think about, well, what does the United States stand for? Especially for middle school students, it's important because they go home and they ask their parents, what does this mean? I've taught in schools where Pledge of Allegiance, taught in a school for many years where I never heard the Pledge of Allegiance said once. I thought it was ridiculous, and when I would bring that up to students, I can't tell you how many students weren't able to recite it. This is why people don't understand what we're fighting for. When we talk about current events and we talk about these issues and what we're looking to preserve, they can't tell you because they can't even recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
They have time for sex ed. They have time for, in my high school, we used to go bowling sometimes for gym. Bowling.
Yes.
They have time to cheer the football team, but they don't have time to cheer the United
And they have
States
a time
of
for a
America.
bunch of politically correct activities, I will assure you, but the Pledge of Allegiance doesn't fit into that bracket, so no time for that,
Well, we'll
unfortunately, and very sadly, in my opinion.
We'll see if the vets win their fight, which they say goes
Hopefully.
on. Thank you, Jedediah.
Thank you.